It was that time of year again, time to check the traps we had set around the lake. I was not the biggest fan of checking the traps. I saw it more as a punishment at this point. The traps were only there to placate the locals and keep them from setting up their own. The towns that surrounded the lake had a deep-seated fear about a fishman that apparently lurked in the depths of the lake. About 100 years or so ago, a group of kids were playing in the lake and were attacked by this fishman. All but one of them disappeared. The lone survivor spoke of a giant-scaled, half-man, half-fish creature, complete with rows of teeth and sharp claws that he used to snatch up the other kids and drag them one by one down to the bottom of the lake. That was 100 years ago, though, and since then the traps have always come up empty. It's an illusion of safety and protection that we provide to keep the local paranoia from running amok. Luckily, it wasn't just me on this run around the lake. I had Dean with me. We had worked before on other monster hunting and low-action maintenance type jobs like this one. He didn't say much ever, but neither did I, so the dynamic worked out just fine. I was never quite sure if he liked working with me or if we had just been thrown together on missions by happenstance. Either way, we worked well together, and the two of us had a record of always coming out alive, and that's something not to be looked upon lightly in our line of work. The lake was fairly big. It wasn't a great lake, but the chore of trap checking was going to take us most of the day. It was dead calm, but bitterly cold out on the water that day. The middle of winter wasn't exactly the height of tourism, making it the perfect time to check the traps without too many inquisitive eyes. One by one, we made our way around the coastline of the lake, checking trap after trap and resetting them. Nothing to report as usual, but we weren't expecting to find anything, really. Orange Cove was the last stop for us. The trees around the cove would all turn bright orange in the fall and would reflect into the water when it was calm, making the entire cove glow with orange and amber hues. It was a beautiful place and one of the most frequented hangouts during the busy season. It is, however, also the apparent site of the disappearance of the children 100 years ago. Since then it's been quiet, despite rumors and apparent sightings. Nothing of any note has ever happened in the cove except some drunk and disorderly conduct, and that's nothing Dean and I had to deal with, thankfully. As soon as we entered the cove, I spotted something incredibly out of the ordinary. Noticing the strange and out of place is what I get paid for, and this was definitely out of place. The traps that we had set around the lake were quite simple, just a metal box containing the actual trap and bait. We would sink these, what I would describe as fairly heavy boxes, into the water and then have a line with a buoy attached that would float on the surface. But this isn't what I was seeing. The trap, metal box and all, had been flung into the trees. It was lodged up in the branches, the line and the buoy wrapped around the tree like a spider web. These were not light traps, and whatever managed to toss it into the tree canopy had been incredibly strong and most likely angry. "Slow down. Hold up," I said to Dean. He was seeing the same thing and slowed the boat down to a crawl, the engine barely sputtering just to keep us in one spot. The two of us stared at the mangled trap and looked around the neighboring trees for any other clues as to what had happened. "What do you want to do?" I asked Dean, but before he could answer, a loud crunching and ripping sound came from the tree line slightly behind us and to the right. We both turned to see a huge tree slowly falling from the bank and heading towards us. Dean hit the engines and moved the boat deeper into the cove to avoid being crushed by the falling tree. The tree crashed into the water, sending waves out in every direction. Our exit from the cove was blocked. Just then a gurgling screech echoed out all around us. It was coming from the tree line. "Can you see it?" Dean asked me. The both of us scanned the whole cove. I had my shotgun up and ready to fire on anything that caught my eye. Again the screech came out, but again it echoed off everything around us, making it impossible to pinpoint where it was coming from. "Screw this," Dean said, and turned the boat around, heading straight for the branches of the fallen tree. The screeching continued and intensified as we started to make an escape. Dean got the boat right up on the tree in what looked like the thinnest part of the branches. If it was just a bit lower or thinned out just a bit more, maybe we could force our way through and out to safety. "Gimme that," Dean said. He came over and grabbed my rifle. I switched to my handgun, watching the cove, still trying to see where the fishman might be hiding. Dean took my shotgun and began to blast the tree branches that were protruding out of the water. He fired and fired until the gun was empty. A splash came from the bank of the cove. I looked over to see ripples of something swimming underwater towards us. Dean tossed the gun into the boat and started to rev the engine. Tried to force the boat over the fallen tree, but it wasn't working. I was reloading the shotgun at that point while the boat rocked and revved a few more times. "We're caught on something," Dean yelled over at me. I took the shotgun and went to the edge of the boat, looking over for what might be holding us up. I could see a dark shadow, darker than the rest of the water, just beneath us. "I got you now," I thought to myself, and fired at the shadow, all around it, until I heard the gun click. Dean revved the engine again, and we skirted over the branches of the tree and out into the body of the lake. We didn't go far, though, just a few hundred yards out of the cove and then back over to the shore. We quickly took stock of the weapons we had with us and geared up to go back to the cove and try and get this fishman. Together we hiked back to the cove, ready for a fight, but there was nothing. We found nothing besides some fishy-smelling trees and a mudslide where it had probably slunk into the water to attack us. "Why are you smiling?" Dean asked me. I hadn't noticed, but I apparently was smiling even though we hadn't caught anything. "I'm buzzing right now. We almost got the fishman. I didn't think he was real, did you?" "Who knows? Let's head back." He didn't just seem to share in my love of danger. I took one last look at the cove and the fallen tree that almost trapped us. I knew he was out there now. It was only a matter of time before I caught the fishman. The excitement of being a monster hunter won out over the fear every time. The rush of it all is why I've done this job for so long. Nothing can compare.